We talked about lady ballers. The
Hold on. Can you explain the joke to me, please?
okay. The joke is
Women playing basketball.
no.
No, that's not it.
Two guys, one who could never get a job in Hollywood, and the other who basically bought his way on to producing stuff. I think they couldn't follow their dreams to be Hollywood celebrities and be in movies and whatnot, and so they started a politics outfit outside, coming out of like the Breitbart world. And then got, all sorts of right-wing funding, and then swang around to actually make a movie because they know how to make movies that are funny and not like so much about fighting the culture war. And then they came up with their, I think it's their premiere comedy movie with one of those guys starring in it. And the other is, I don't know if he wrote it or what, but, and it's the same premise that we've seen done a million times before, but this is like an added twist because it's going to create liberal tears.
So you're saying that like Shapiro and his crew, they, or Shapiro in particular, wanted to do one thing, but he wasn't good enough to do it. So then he did something else and is entering into this arena.
It's a way of doing it.
In a different manner, like as if,
No, this is what it's like.
Right.
It's basically like, I'm going to start an open mic at the local Chinese restaurant so that I can put myself on stage the whole time. Mm-hmm. That's basically what's going on here. But what's fascinating about this Lady Ballers is, of course, a story about some guys who want to relive their high school or reimagine their high school failures on sports teams. And do so by playing in women's sports, and they think that they can qualify as women by dressing up. And what's fascinating about this is what we're about to see. This is Ben Shapiro being interviewed about it because it's the most triggering movie of the year, and Jeremy Boring, who stars in it, is hosting it. And
he stars in it.
Oh yeah.
No, but my point is just like, this is,
Jeremy Boring is the lead.
Oh, good. So he wanted to be an actor, but he wasn't good enough to be. So he had to first be a political commentator and then turn into an actor.
Well, he started a political company. I don't know if he's considers himself.
But it's just, it's all about like people who were not good enough going in and maybe pretending to be a different gender, like the premise of this movie, so they can still do what they want to do, even though they're not talented enough.
There's a strand of autobiography, I think, probably in this.
That's all I'm getting at.
What's fascinating about this is their entire movie is supposed to be a comedic treatment of a genuine problem that they all say it's completely insane that people born and assigned a male gender at birth could end up playing in women's sports. It's a completely insane thing, and we're going to parody it. But here's what's fascinating about this story. It belies every single political point they've ever tried to make about this, which in terms of like why having trans women play women's sports is a problem. It completely is belied by their story of how to develop their movie. And the funny thing is, you can tell like Shapiro's so excited, like he's finally getting his TMZ type spot. And he forgets, like, wait a second, I'm belying the entire premise of 90% of the revenue we've made from the Daily Wire over the past year and a half.
Idea. So you approached me and you said we should make a fictional film about this topic. Now, to be fair, I think I'd actually suggested to the Crane Boys that they do this as a doc.
Yes.
I originally went to them and I said, you guys should go try out for a bunch of ladies leagues. And that became not possible because, as it turns out, most ladies leagues don't allow in actual men. And they weren't willing to go the full distance in terms of what it would require in order to, the actual hormone treatments and everything to play in some of the ladies leagues. But in any case, it turned into this. So explain.
Yeah.
All right, let me explain what we just witnessed. We just witnessed Ben Shapiro undermine the entire premise of everything that they've been saying on this network for years, which is the idea that people transition so they can do better in women's sports. is absurd. The idea that it's an easy thing to transition, that this is just sort of like some type of like afterthought, is absurd. And he just says it right there. It completely inhibited the entire project they wanted to do in the first place. So they had to fictionalize the thing that they've been talking about is a real problem in society for years.
Yep. It's almost as if the idea that a person who is a man wouldn't undergo the physical transformation and the hormones and the surgery in order to just participate in like the WNBA. It's almost like that's actually the factual reality, which Ben Shapiro admits.
And broadly, that is like, it goes throughout even without sports. You go to like, oh, kids are just identifying as trans because it gives them a leg up, as if there's some sort of, this is a small hurdle that people will go through just to get some sort of advantage in the world, is a hysterical, it's always been a hysterical, absurd position that is just meant to rile up bigots to get them out to vote.
And the thing is like he's revealing there that they know it. They know it. They know that it's not really a thing. It's just a wedge issue for bigotry, and that's always what it's been.
Well, we have that classic Matt Walsh clip on Joe Rogan where he gets the number of kids that are implicated in this wrong by like a order of magnitude. If we want to just throw that in here too.
Yeah,
let's just remind people. Like this is all. There was always a fictional hysteria, based upon no data. This is the supposed expert, the national expert on this.
This is our lead.
The documentarian.
Like literally, this is the one fact or figure you would think that this knowledge of this fact or figure would be so essential. If someone was actually legitimately looking at this, would be so essential to the full-on sort of religious crusade this self-proclaimed theocrat has been on. You would think that this number would be it, but it just goes to show like completely built on a house of sand. And this moment was from about almost a year ago to the day.
2 years ago. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, here we go.
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what. I don't think we have exact numbers, but if we're talking all this stuff year over year. So it's the drugs.
Well, you should progress.
Wait,
you're an adult. This is a free.
What's
Some going on with that.
There will be. And I also,
there's some going on with that Twitter clip.
Dang it.
There you go. Good job, X. Way to ruin your entire.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Well,
I'm going to try this again and get that audio on because it's skipping all over the place.
It is a good clip here.
Let's try this one.
How many people have had this done?
depends on what. I don't think we have exact numbers, but if we're talking about the drugs, millions.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah.
Millions of kids have been on hormone blockers, really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on that, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers and had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
This says it's kind of undercounted, but that would be a big undercount.
Pause it. 5 years, less than 5,000 kids. Mm-hmm. So that's 1,000 kids a year. But a total, let's do the total, 4,000 some odd kids, as opposed to millions.
Yeah.
Who are engaged in the therapy he's spent his whole career on.
Yeah.
This is the whole point. It has always been a fiction that they have created to create hysteria. And it has worked, but only within a group of I don't know if they're creepy or not, what's going on with their whole thing, but whatever issues are associated with it, it became a complete fraudulent lie. And it's hilarious to me that the premise of their entire movie was based upon finding out that the premise of their entire movie is a lie.
Yep.
It's the real world premise of how it got developed.
We wanted to make this a documentary, but no one would go to the lengths to do this, and so we decided we'd make it up because it fit our narrative better, in the same way that Matt Walsh makes up those numbers.
Yeah.
Because it fit his narrative better. And he went to Africa. He went to the continent of Africa, traveled the world to get this knowledge, right? This academic, and he doesn't know the basic figures behind his premise. So
Air Bud was also made by some guys who wanted to make a documentary about how all these sports leagues have very low standards as to like, can a dog play basketball?
Yeah.
And it turns out actually they don't let dogs play basketball, so they had to make a comedy.
Unbelievable.